Hi, I'm Lynn Bridgeford from the Aether Bios Clinic and Aether Bios Yoga. And today in our series on festivities, I'm going to invite you to join me in the kitchen to show you how to make some simple, healthy Christmas chocolates and some less healthy, though with some healthy stuff in it, mulled wine and some roasted nuts. So join me in the kitchen for the festivities. Thank you so much. So I have a few things prepared here. We're going to start off with the nuts so they can go in the oven while we're making the chocolates. I'm using maple syrup. You can use stevia if you can find that you can make a liquid form, or you can use agave. Find out what works for you if you're diabetic. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of maple syrup and gently mix it up. Once we have a light covering of whatever syrupy substance you're using over the nuts, just to get them nice and crunchy, I've separated them into piles. So you could sprinkle some with a bit of cinnamon. We could sprinkle some with nice black pepper. We could do some with salt. We could do some with cayenne, or you could do it with chili if you like chili. Or you could just leave some plain with the syrup on. If you like to mix them all up again, just gently mix up what you've put on there. You don't have to. And then they're ready to go in the oven. I would suggest about 150 degrees centigrade for about 5 to 10 minutes. You don't want them to go too hard or too sticky, just nice and warm and crunchy. While those are in the oven, if you have a double boiler, my mum had one growing up, but I don't have one, so just use 2 different size pans. Put boiling water in the bottom, fill it up an inch or 2, just depends on the size of the other pot you're putting in there. You want it to sit in the hot water. Now, without turning the fire on, this will probably start to dissolve the coconut oil anyway. The basic recipe is 3 ingredients. It's coconut oil, cacao, raw cacao, and whatever syrup you like. I'm using maple, as I said. Whatever you want to use, agave or stevia, or a syrup you can make from something that's suitable for you if you're diabetic. So it's 3 parts coconut oil, 3 parts raw cacao, and 1 part of the syrup. So if you're using a large tablespoon, that basic measure will probably make about 4 rounded truffle type cacao chocolates. They have no gluten, they have no dairy, the only sugar is whatever you put in there. And you can add all sorts of different flavours. So I've got 3 spoons of coconut oil in there, just dissolving nicely. 3 tablespoons of cacao. I do them rather heaped. And 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, stirring it gently to mix it all up. So now we have the melted coconut oil with the raw cacao and the maple syrup, and it's starting to thicken up a little. After this, we're going to put it in the freezer or the fridge. The freezer for about 5 minutes, just to let it solidify, or put it in the fridge for longer. And if you know that there's something you want to add, a particular flavour, you might want to add peppermint essence or rose essence, or you might like to add nuts or coconut or cinnamon, peanut butter. If you know there's a particular thing you'd like to add, and add it now and everything's going to be the same, now would be a time to do it before you put it in the freezer. While that's in the freezer and the nuts are in the oven. So if you have moulds, they're quite fun to work with, and I like these heart shapes. You can make them just rolled into balls, they're also delicious. I've put salt in here and pepper grinds, cinnamon, cayenne, and 1 plain. These ones are shells. There's peanut butter, there's coconut, there's a mixture of sesame, sunflower and pumpkin, which I always have mixed up because I love it on my salads. There's one with raisins and there's one with almonds. It would probably be fabulous with hazelnuts. I just don't happen to have them in the house on a daily basis like I do with almonds and Brazils. So while the nuts are in the oven and the chocolate's in the freezer, we're going to look at making a little bit of mulled wine. You can get prepared mulled wine, and I also like to add my own bits and pieces to it, or you can take a red wine. You might like to add cinnamon sticks, some ginger, it's all according to taste, some oranges, perhaps a few cloves or cardamoms, and perhaps even the powders. Just find what works for you, gently warm it, get the aromas up, and then serve it with some nice hot nuts. So the nuts are ready, they're nice and puffed up and warm, and I've absorbed all those lovely flavours. I've poured the chocolate in the mould and smoothed it over with a knife just to get it even. There is fallout on the edge. I've done the same with one of the heart ones. The rest of the chocolate is in the freezer for 5 to 10 minutes. It needs to get solid, and then it's possible to make it into balls. And I would either roll it in coconut or roll it in seeds, that's sesame, sunflower, pumpkin seeds, roll it in peanut butter or wrap it around the peanut butter, or you could wrap it around a nut. So either way, you make little balls about this size and put them in the fridge. They need to be kept cool because they will melt, because they are a natural chocolate. And here it is, cold enough to make a ball. So we roll it up into a ball. You could roll it into coconut. Or you could put a nut inside it. Keep it in the fridge and enjoy. And while that's happening, the mulled wine is ready. I'm going to pour it onto a spoon so it takes some of the heat out of it. And we just want to avoid cracking the glass. And these are the finished items ready rolled. You can see that one's been rolled in the nuts. This one's been rolled in cacao. These have been rolled in peanut butter. These in coconut. And these have little bits of coconut and peanut butter and spices put in before they were set. And then the nuts. The mulled wine is ready. It's spicy and delicious, wonderful festive season. Thank you so much. I hope you use these recipes throughout the year to make some pretty healthy chocolates and tasty nuts, and enjoy.